It's kind of a hell of a career, and this has been a pretty amazing year. I thought we could maybe start with High Potential. You have been on a show for decades. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You have led shows in the past, like the Mick, but this show is a huge hit. Does it feel different now that the first season's over? Like just the response to it, the energy around it?
Yeah, for better or for worse, Sunny was always just such a slow burn. And we've got these core rabid fans who were there from the beginning. And we were doing that show for 5-6 years before anybody really knew about it, which ended up just being a blessing because I don't think you want things to happen too fast. And we were just joking about this the other day. Like, we don't have a problem going to the grocery store and getting swole. Like, nobody's dying to take my photo anywhere out in the wild. But yeah, High Potential is just it just reached a whole new audience. We went to the Super Bowl this year and people were like pushing Rob aside. And we were like, is that the girl from High Potential? Which was like the greatest moment of my life. But yeah, I feel like we've reached new audiences and new demographics, and it's much more international already. And yeah, I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of that character. I like her a lot.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw the pilot. It's not always true, but I was like, it's a really good pilot, and I would imagine it was pretty. Yeah.
Thank you.
But I imagine that made it a little bit easier to sign on and get kind of into the rhythm of the show.
Yeah, I was, and I've said this before, my agent called and was like, now hear me out. I was like, uh-oh. You've been offered an hour-long procedural on ABC. I almost hung up on him. And I was like, no, that's cool. And he was like, just read it. You're going to really like it. It's really good. And I loved it. And I loved the character. And it didn't feel like an ABC show. Not to knock ABC. I'm not like a big network person. So, yeah, I already forgot the question.
Just sort of what about the character in that pilot? Yeah.
I fell in love with her. I thought it was really great. I was already looking to do something different. I was kind of kicking around ideas for other shows that I was planning on, doing on a streaming service, but they were still like dark comedies, but comedy first. But this character really spoke to me because she's an actual human being, where Dee is just, bless her heart, not. And
we wouldn't change her.
I love her so much. But I'm also, I still have that. I think that's one reason I was capable of I was, all in to sign on for this. I still have Sunny. I'm so lucky. It's not lost on me how lucky I am. I mean, I hit the jackpot with this show, not just because I fell in love with someone and have 2 kids with him now, but it's just been an insane amount of years, and I don't have to give that up to move to something else. So I've got that. And I had a little bit of a fear because people were so angry when the Mick was canceled that I was, and so was I, but I was like, oh, I wonder if they think my next show is going to be like a hard comedy, if I'm going to let people down. Right. So I was a little bit nervous about that. But Alethea, now I remember your question. It wasn't that. The pilot.
We got there.
We got there. Alethea Jones directed the pilot, and she did such a wonderful job. And I remember I said to her, I'm nervous about we call it the Morgan vision, where you like see when she's putting things together, because I hate a reenactment. Like, you're watching like a crime drama, and then there's a reenactment, and it's 2 people who don't look like the actors at all. And not a crime drama. I'm talking about like a real line, like Dateline, Yeah. And I'm like, is it going to be like flashbacky? And like, I just was scared of it. She was like, oh no, I'm so excited about that part. That's going to be really good. So, and we shot that pilot for 3.5 weeks. That's the luxury of a pilot. You have a long time to shoot it. But they're also really hard. They're just really, really hard. So, I was nervous to watch it when they finally handed it to me. I was so nervous to watch because I don't know. I mean, I'm a control freak. I trusted her, and I didn't know her. I loved her. I felt like I could trust her, but I just was like, okay. And that's the first time I've done that in a while. I usually have my hands in it. And I watched it, and I was like, I think this is good. And then I was like, I'm scared to show Rob. He is so judgmental and so hard to please. And so, yeah, he's like really annoying to watch TV with, because he'll just pause it and be like, okay. And then he'll like download all the things that are wrong with it. just want to fucking watch a TV show with you. We have 1 hour before we have to put our kids to bed. And he loved it. And I'm sad to say that was when I was like, okay, we have a hit.
That's not sad.
Well, a little bit.
That's what happens when you're married to a showrunner.
That's true.
In terms of I was going to ask you about those visions, because there are so many elements of the show where you could fear it sort of
being cheesy.
That's the word I was going to use.
That's my worst nightmare. It's cheesy.
And it's a really beautifully done show, but I think a big credit is your performance and the tone you strike. It's very specific and very kind of scene to scene. I wonder if you could talk about kind of how you figured it out over the course of the show, because obviously there's the pilot and then the rest of the season.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very hard tone because, I think Hacks is a beautiful example of this. It's really hard to merge a comedy and a drama. And it was very important to me that the world was real and dramatic and not cheesy. And we weren't hiring like actors to like try and be funny. Besides cheesy, my I don't like it. So it took it's the first season of a show. It took a little time, and Morgan's voice, to their credit, like all of our writers are great. It's really hard. So there was a lot of conversation and a lot of just me rewriting stuff, but luckily Todd Harthan, who's our showrunner now, is so on board with it, and he's a true collaborator, and he's just like, just give it to me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Tell me. And I will just be super honest about, what I'm thinking. And then we go back and forth, and they do such a beautiful job with the crime part and the murder and all of the intelligence that, her brain and all that stuff. And then like the mom part and the goofy part and the humanness of her, I just played around with.
The aspect you're talking about of really informing the character, you're a producer on the show, how important was that for you, and what does that role, I suppose, look like to you as an actor producer on the show?
It was really important to me. At this stage in my life, I feel like I trust my instincts, and I think my younger me would have been like, oh, I don't know, you guys know what you're doing. What do I know? Now I'm like violently angry at that girl. Like, just fucking believe in yourself. But I trust my instincts, or I at least trust when I feel like something feels off, and I need to be able to say that. And I love being the dumbest person in the room. I want to be surrounded by people who are more creative than me, smarter than me, funnier than me. Please, like, write me a beautiful script. I love that. But I love the freedom to be able to say, I'm going to tweak this a little bit, and I have an idea here, and I think it'd be fun if we changed her fingernails every episode and had different eyeliner every episode, and it just looked like a crayon that she's got 2 minutes to get ready. And so yeah, that was really important to me. I think I mentioned that I have control issues. So I like that. And I will credit Sunny, because, when I started doing Sunny 20 years ago, actors were not allowed to change lines at all. Like, they'd look at you in an audition and be like, oh, no, you just switched those 2 words around. You'd be like, okay, sure. I did that on purpose, and you're welcome. But that was like not okay, which is strange. And Rob had this philosophy of, the smartest thing I can do is hire the funniest people that I can find and let them do their thing. And so while those scripts are beautifully written, it's so much more fun to show up, say it as it's written, throw the scene away, and just start improvising, keeping the structure. And you can just kind of tell that it has more life, and you can tell that we're having fun, and it doesn't feel scripted. I remember being really little, and when my dad would read me a book, I could tell that he was reading. And that sounds so silly, but I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, it doesn't sound like you're my dad anymore. It sounds like you're my dad with his reading voice. And that's what happens with actors sometimes when they're stuck to a script where the words don't come out of their mouth very well, because maybe it's poorly written, or it's just written in a way that they can't embody. And wouldn't you just rather it sound real and interesting rather than say, I wrote that, so say it exactly how I wrote it? So anyway, it would be hard for me to go back to just being handed a script and just being like, okay, little girl, just say what we wrote for you and don't have any opinions on it.
Well, as long as we're talking about younger Kaitlin, what do you remember? this is what this is. You know, we gotta go back.
Gotta go.
What do you remember about sort of that first acting spark when you knew you wanted to do this?
It happened so young that I don't remember ever there being a time when I didn't want to be on TV. For some reason, it was TV specifically, probably because that was like where our family was. You know, we all would come together and watch shows together while we'd all fold laundry in the living room and like watch. And it was you'd wait for Thursday nights or you'd wait for Saturday nights, must see TV. And I just always was like, yeah, I can do that. And I always made my parents laugh, and that made me that's just like the kid that I was. And so that felt good. It felt good to make them laugh, and it was joyful. And I was like, this is great. People get paid for this. I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Were there movies, shows, performances that kind of made that first indelible mark?
Yeah, I was obsessed with reruns of the Carol Burnett show. I mean, right? She just was so... I was so blown away by... I was very aware that most women on TV were beautiful and polished, and they were like objects of like affection and romance. And Carol Burnett was like ballsy, and she made big faces, and she had fun accents, and she was physical, and I just loved it so much. And it was there's so much freedom and not worrying about what you look like. And just making people laugh and having so many different characters that she would do. So I was very, very interested in sketch specifically. And then Saturday Night Live, same thing. All the women who were just like loud and gritty and ballsy. I just thought it was so great. And then Golden Girls, which, you know.
Yeah, can't go wrong. But if I have it right, you were also kind of a shy kid, right?
Very shy. My brother would be like, I don't understand. You don't want anyone to look at you, and you turn beet red if you're the center of attention, and you want to be on TV. And I was like, yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. It's really weird. And I've talked about this bike accident until I'm like blue in the face. But yeah, I was very disfigured from a horrible accident at the end of 6th grade going into junior high. Which is like
perfect year.
The worst. Is the worst, but it's the best thing that ever happened to me. It's I just resigned myself to like, okay, like you're hideous and you're always going to be hideous, which is what I told myself, and just you're going to have to figure out something else. And I was like, great, I still make my parents laugh, so I just dug into it.
In high school, did you do high school theater, plays, things like that?
Yeah, I wanted to audition for plays in junior high, but I was always way too scared. And then I found the nerve in high school and booked the first thing, and then, you know, made my whole group of friends, and I basically lived in the theater department in high school.
Do you remember any favorite roles from that?
Yeah, Noise is Off. You guys?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That was my favorite. Yeah, that was super fun because it was so physical. I was the dumb one, and and I was like falling all over the place. I remember it's like a 2-story set, the house, and there's a point where she like kind of falls over the banister, and every single time Larry Daw, rest in peace, he just died last month, guys. But he believed in me, and he loved me, and he sat me down and was like, you're really, really good at this. And I've been wanting to do this play my whole career, and I've been waiting until I had a group of seniors that I felt like could pull it off. And I would just be honored if you would, whatever. It was just very nice. Like I needed that. It was wonderful. Yeah. Nobody talked to me like that except for my parents. I think everyone wrote me off. I was very quiet. I just didn't want to be seen. So that meant a lot to me. But he was like, if you go over that goddamn banister like that, I'm going to kill you. Because I would just throw my whole body up and put my legs up in the air. But I was good on the bars, like at recess, right? Like it'd spin. I was like, I'm not falling over the banister. It's fine. He's like, you're just going to go like that and stumble. Leave your legs on the ground. And I was like, okay. And then just like full on like legs up in the air. It looked like I was going to fall. Because it's funny. Flying legs are funny.
I have some questions about your physical comedy for later, but
Okay.
hearing that, did you know that you were particularly adept
Lanky?
at that? Yeah, well, but you really are gifted. I mean, you are. It's
Thank you.
yeah.
I just always found like flopping myself on the ground was fun. I don't know. I've always found that really funny. I think it's funny when you throw your whole body into something. Why wouldn't you? You've got your voice and you've got your body. Just use them both together. The most eloquent thing I've ever said in my life.
For all future actors, hurl yourself off.
Only have two things. Use them both together.
There you go. When you went to college in Oregon, I believe, I think you did some Shakespeare?
Yeah. I went to the University of Oregon, and the director of that program was a huge Shakespeare fan. And we would go to Southern Oregon, to Ashland, and do the Shakespeare Festival and all that. And I was like, okay. And he would have so many guest actors from Chicago and from the Shakespeare Festival. And I was like, are you ever going to have like a guest actor from film and television? And he was just like, no. I was like, apparently that's gross. And I just was like, I don't know that he just wanted to churn out Shakespeare actors. So I don't know. They all thought I was like ridiculous for thinking I was going to move to Los Angeles and be successful. But everybody felt like that. I remember when I would do, you do like graduation announcements. And so I would, I sent them all out and everybody was like, oh, you're going to move to LA? Oh, okay. And I was like, fuck you. There's not one person here who understands that I'm good at this. That's crazy. So that chip on my shoulder's really been really helpful in propelling me.
But where did you access that in yourself at the time?
I don't know. I really, I don't know. I just knew that, these questions, some of them like, oh, I was asked something out there like, how do you bring I don't know. I don't know what it is that I'm doing. I just know when I'm good at it or when I'm not good at it. So I wish I had like a technique I could share. It's just always been, for as shy as I was, it was always like, none of these people believe in me. I have something that not many people can do, and I know that I can do it because I'm very self-aware. No one will pick me apart more than me. I am very, very aware of what I cannot do. But I was like, but I'm really good at this. And so, like, why is no one else noticing it? And we have people, like, everyone enjoyed coming to the plays, and we're like, and I did drama and comedy, like Danny and the Deep Blue Sea, which I think everyone's seen. Like, I loved that so much. We're just like sobbing, and I loved all of it, and sobbing, crying, acting, laughing, just doing all the things. And then I don't know, no one really. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone was like, you're really, really good at this. And I was like, great, I'm going to move to LA. And they're like, oh, it's so cute. Fuck you.
How did your family feel about it?
So my parents were very supportive and very terrified and really just kept it to themselves. My famous story with my dad is that he's a journalist, or he was a publisher, and he was a journalism major at the University of Oregon. And I was like, I really want to do television. He was like, well, I have a connection, Margie Boulay on Channel 6 and whatever, and maybe you could like take journalism classes and you could be on TV, but you'd be doing, like the weather or something. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want to just be on a TV box. I want to act. And so he like set up a whole meeting with Margie Boulay, God bless him. And I sat through it politely and was like, "You're out of your mind." They just didn't understand. It's just they're all from the tiny little towns in Oregon. It was just they had never been to Los Angeles, so the idea of me making that big move was just like so unfathomable. And also, they loved me and they wanted to protect me, and it was scary, but they were very, very supportive. And they were like, "We would never not bet on you. We know that you are capable of doing anything you want to do, and we're here if you need us." Yeah, very sweet. I have good parents.
Yeah. If anything, Margie Boulay is a great stage name.
It's really great. You guys, I forgot the part where she also was an actor, and she did Little Shop of Horrors at a tiny little town outside of Portland every year. We'd go see her. So I think that's why I met with Margie. She also wanted to be an actor, apparently.
There you go.
Yeah. Hope she's doing well.
Me too. So when you get to LA, how did you find those first rounds of auditioning, trying to break through? How were you making ends meet?
Terrible. Terrible. Auditioning sucked. And I had the same question everyone does, which is like, okay, cool. Now, how do you do this? And everyone's like, I don't know. You just do it. I knew about the Groundlings, and one of my best friends from college grew up in Los Angeles in the Palisades. And so we kind of moved similarly to we moved around the same time. And we both auditioned for the Groundlings together, and we both got in. And that's sort of how I got started, because you just make friends and you make connections, and then you're creating. So you've got that energy. Like, I think you just have to be creating something. And I was in heaven, and I lived in a tiny little studio apartment, and I worked 3 part-time jobs that I hated, but each one of them let me go if I had auditions. And I wrote all the time, and did the Groundlings, and I've never been happier. It was the best. But it is very all-consuming, and all you want to do is become a main company member. And then you feel like you're a failure if you're not. And so when I was in the Sunday company, I auditioned for the Drew Carey show and got a part in that. And that turned into a recurring guest star. And so I wasn't writing as much. And so Dax Shepard and I both got kicked out of the Sunday company at the same time. Basically, you get pulled into the main company, or they just excuse you, but it's called getting kicked out, which seems very aggressive. I didn't really get kicked out. I was very good at my job. I got kicked out. But because you were going at 90 miles an hour for so long, I mean, we were devastated and embarrassed and like horrified. Like, how could I not get into the main company? Which sounded super lame, but whatever, that's how I felt. And but then I immediately started booking jobs and working, because I was like, you got to put that energy somewhere. So I'm super grateful for it.
Was there anything from the Groundlings you really gained just in terms of learning about yourself as a performer?
I mean, I had done so much sketch in Oregon and things like that. I mean, I was terrified of improv. I will say, I think it gave me a lot more confidence in I love improvising in a scene that's already scripted. I like taking a script and then just going off book. But improv games, kill me. I hate them so much. Guys, isn't it cool out here in space? I mean, it's not cool. I really hated the improv game. So I just would like just muscle my way through that and then get to the sketches. But I think it was really good to have that experience, because I am such I say perfectionist. What I mean is I'm so hard on myself that it would be devastating if I didn't come across as absolutely perfect in every situation, which is insane. Nobody can, that's unattainable. And so I was given the gift of failing over and over at improv, which is a really good thing, because I would never have put myself in that position on purpose. But it's so important. And it that was helpful. Yeah.
It's a real training ground, I would think. Yeah. Do you have any audition horror stories from that period?
Do you want me to do a little improv for you?
Is that the audition horror story?
Okay. Give me a noun. No. Do I have audition horror stories?
From that early period.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I have a lot. Well, I had a hypoglycemic attack in the middle of an audition one time and fell on the ground, and they called 911. That was fun. And then I had one audition for a sitcom that was stupid. And I don't even remember the casting director, but she kept going, okay, I think the note was, can you make it more real? And I was like, yeah. And I think what I took from it was like, ground it, right? Maybe I was being too funny. Auditioning for a sitcom. I didn't understand the note, but of course I didn't feel like speaking up and saying, I don't understand your stupid note, you stupid bitch. So I just kept like making it more and more grounded, because she kept giving me the same idiotic note. And then I didn't get it. And she called my manager and told her that I needed to take acting classes.
Wow.
I didn't need to take acting classes. She needed to take note-giving classes.
Yeah. And here we are, you know?
I still don't know what the fuck she meant by make it more real.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. For a sitcom?
I hope she's watching.
This will be on YouTube. If I'm correct, before Drew Carey, the first TV thing you did was Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
Incredible.
Thank you.
Given what you were saying about improv, I mean, obviously you're not doing I imagine you're not doing improv games, but that is a show that is notoriously, you get there and you don't know what you're doing.
He won't tell you what the scene's about
Right.
until you show up.
Yeah. So firstly, what was that audition?
That audition was with Larry and Jeff Garlin and Marla Garlin at the time. And I think they just gave us some scenarios. And the scenarios were always that Larry did something stupid and I was mad at him. But making Larry laugh was like the best thing that had ever happened to me. And I very quickly learned, like, the more I yell at him and berate him, the harder he's going to laugh. For some reason, I'm very gifted at berating men. Mm-hmm. So we got along just fine.
How did you find the actual process when you got into the making of the show?
It's so fun. It's nerve-wracking the night before because you want to do a good job. And you're also in a room with a bunch of very funny people who all want their stuff to be used. And so there's a lot of talking over each other. And so there's a lot of value in just being quiet and waiting and listening with your face and being funny without talking. And then when you've got something good to say, then you throw it out there. But then, we would do that. We would rehearse a couple times. He'd pick things he liked. You say that was great. And then you do that and you just kind of piece it together that way. Which is it was so fun and so great. And again, it didn't feel like an improv game because there's a story. Like I know what scene I'm doing. I know what who my character is. I know what I'm pissed about, and I'm always pissed about something. So fun. Everyone's really nice and everyone's playing. Yeah. It's fun.
I still think about your delivery of Larry, you ate the baby Jesus, and his mother Mary.
Yeah, that was a good one. I will say I was proud of that one when I came up with it. That was fun.
It resonated.
Thank you.
You once told me a story, you mentioned Drew Carey, you once told me a story about a monologue that you were given and kind of...
Yes.
Yeah, the way you had to navigate at the time what you'd mentioned of not going off script when doing TV, but going off script a little bit.
I went rogue in front of a live studio audience.
That's the only way to do it.
I know. And I was so scared. This is back when you just did not do that. And I had a monologue. But I was playing, I get a lot of angry women roles. Or bitchy, like bossy, bitchy Karen women. But I find that so funny. So I had so much more to add to this monologue. So I just, all week you rehearse and I just did the thing. And then when there was a live audience, I just did my own thing. And it worked. And then it was just supposed to be a just one-time guest star, and then they made it recurring.
I have to say, like, for an actor who is just getting, just trying to get started.
Yeah, it was bold.
To do that is like, there's a lot of bravery in that.
I was scared.
Yeah.
But you know what? And I will say, now that I've been on the other side of auditions, if the material's really good, just say it. Do the material. It's really good. If you know you can make the material better, go for it, because they'll rewrite the character to what you're doing. Again, because I'm so hard on myself and so mean to myself, or historically have been, I know when something that they wrote is way better than something that I could come up with. I knew that this was funnier. So that's why I did it. I wasn't just like, let's just try this out.
I don't know that you've done another multi-camera sitcom since then, but did you like the format? Did you enjoy?
I love being in front of an audience, so I did love it. My problem with sitcoms is that I just think because they're on a network, the humor tends to be more watered down than it can be on a streaming. So, but I still very strongly believe that I haven't watched a lot of sitcom, like current ones. There might be some really good ones out there right now, but I love Golden Girls. I loved Family Ties. I loved 227. Mm-hmm. it can be done. But it's just, I found that now we have all these other platforms where I can be nasty and say things I want to say and not have to watch my mouth.
We're spoiled now. Speaking of taking bold stances, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The character of Dee, as you've talked about, was not initially written as the funniest character in the show, let's say. So how...
Guys, stop having fun.
Yeah.
That's fun to watch, right?
If only, right? So how did the show come to you, and how did we get from that version of Dee to where we are now?
Well, I auditioned for it, and the scene was so funny. The sides were so funny, and I was really, really excited, and it was a great audition, and they offered it to me, and I said, great, let me read they had only written 4 episodes. I said, can I read them? And I read them, and Dee was not funny, and those sides were taken from a Dennis and Charlie script and not a Dee and Charlie script. So I was like, what the fuck? Oh, wow. Okay. They want me to be, they've written these 3 brilliant characters who are so funny and so distinctly different from each other. And then the Dee character was like a wannabe actress who was like, you guys are being so crazy. Knock it off. And I was just like, that's so boring. Who wants to be a wet blanket in a really funny show? So I passed, and Rob called me and was like, wait, you passed? And I was like, I'm so sorry. I think you've written such an incredible show. I think the characters are so funny. I would be horrified to be the worst part of a really funny show. And he was like, no. I'm so sorry. We should have told you. Like, that's kind of just a placeholder. We wrote this show for ourselves, so we knew how to write these characters. We didn't know who was going to be playing the Dee character. We kind of need to get to know what you can do and like what's special to you and what you would bring to it, and we'll write to that, I promise. We just also don't really know how to write for a woman just yet. And I was like, okay, write me a dude part that's really funny, and I'll bring the vagina to it.
And Sweet Dee was born.
Yeah.
Did you feel comfortable passing at that point? Did you have representatives telling you not to pass? Like, what was that whole negotiation like?
Okay, so in full disclosure, the project I did right before that was so miserable.
Okay.
It was so miserable. I hated it. We were, I really have never said this before because it feels disrespectful. I feel like we were promised one thing and then taken to London and then fully ripped the rug out from underneath us. And they were like, no, just do it this. We were supposed to like Americanize this British thing. And they hired sketch actors who could write so that we could take this sketch show and make it Americanized and make it funny. It wasn't funny. And I was super into that because that's right up my alley. I love that stuff. And then we got there and they were like, no, just say this. And I was like, but that's dumb. And they were like, well, it was a smashing success here. And I was like, well, you guys aren't funny. But I was so depressed and so miserable, and I just felt I was so young, and it was so early on, and I didn't know what to do, and I was trapped, and my stomach hurt every day, and it was miserable. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. I remember sleeping on this bed in this apart hotel, which is like the worst part of an apartment and the worst part of a hotel crammed together. And there was like a spring jabbing me in the cheek and just going, I will never, ever take a job again unless I'm so excited about the character and the project and what I can do. I don't care about money. I don't care about fame. I'm so miserable. I just want to contribute something and have fun and be proud of what I'm doing and be really excited for it to air because I'm so proud of it. Because this is going to air and I'm going to be fucking embarrassed. And I will say this, when they were looking me up on Sunny, when they were like looking up the stuff I'd done, I'd really barely done anything, and they saw this and almost didn't cast me.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't blame you. It's stupid. So anyway, so when this came along, it was like right after that. And that's why I was so excited. And I'll tell you how much money I got for the first We did 7 episodes in the first season. My offer was $12,500, which I was like, cool. Can I pay my bills? And the character was amazing. And I was like, absolutely. Because it wasn't about anything other than being proud of it.
Yeah. I mean, if you watch that first season,
You can tell.
you can see the $12,500. And I genuinely
That was
mean,
stretching their budget.
I mean that as a compliment. There's a real energy to
Gritty.
it. And you'd never seen anything like it. I mean, I watched it as a teenager, and I was like blown away by it. And I've followed it for many years since then.
Many decades.
But what do you remember about filming really that first season specifically and finding a completely original comic voice with these 3?
It's really hard to describe because there's just nothing like it. I've never the cast is so good, and they're all the creators. So it was just like a bunch of friends getting together. I mean, the director would yell cut, and we would just like turn to each other and be like, okay, this worked, this worked, this right. I've always felt so bad for the directors back then because we were like, huh? Yeah, just say action and cut. Stop talking to us. Not really, but we just were all in it together, and we knew nobody was watching it, but we knew the people who were watching it were loving it, and we were proud of it. And we had one trailer that was a 2-banger. I had one, and the guys shared the other one. Mm-hmm. And like it was just like grassroots filmmaking, and we were happy, and we were young and had no obligations, and we were just making this thing that we'd never really seen before. And I got to play a character that was a dream, and I got to be a part of the creation of her. That certainly had never happened before. They valued my opinion. I made them laugh. They were paying attention to things that I would do, and then they would write to it. Dee didn't like her 5-head because Glenn Howerton found out that I didn't like my 4-head. Like that stupid inflatable, the dance that he does. Yeah, that was because we were dancing one time and Glenn was dying, and he was like, how long is your wingspan? It's insane what your arms are doing. And I was like, I look good, whatever. But they were writing to it, and it was just, I respected them so much. There was not a weak link. Everybody was so funny, but in a completely different way. One of the things I do, because I can't help it, is if I'm acting with someone, I'm kind of also like, oh, I love that, or I would do this differently, or I would tweak this. And especially since the Mick, like I would be in a scene with the kids and I'd be acting, but also taking mental notes because I was giving them acting coaching too. And I'm in a scene with these guys, and I'm just like, they're blowing me away. I don't know what to expect. Everything is unique. Everything I'm getting completely unexpected reactions, which make me laugh. We make each other laugh. Charlie makes himself laugh all the time. It's just a once in a lifetime thing, and I'm very, very aware of it, and I'm so grateful. I never ever take it for granted.
It has to be a unique dynamic when, I mean, obviously now you have Danny DeVito, but at the beginning you had the 4 of you, 3 of them are writers on the show, and you're coming in with an initially underwritten character. I imagine it's got to be an interesting kind of back and forth.
Yeah, and they never made me feel like it was the 3 of them and then there was me who auditioned for it. It never felt like that. We were just a team from the beginning, which I really appreciated and was really aware of. And very selfless, like would go out of their way to like die laughing at something I did, or give me a note that was like, ooh, you know how you said the thing back on in this episode, like that reaction, why don't you do one of the, just like really good notes, and just a lot of mutual respect. I feel very loved and respected by them, and that's sadly really uncommon. I think there's in this industry there's such a desire to like let people know like who you are and remind them who they are, and like and especially like being on somebody else's show sometimes can be really hard. You feel like you showed up at someone else's party and you were barely invited, and like and so I always was really inspired also by like how excited they all were to have guest cast come in, and everybody would introduce themselves and just really compliment the audition and make everybody feel really welcome and at home. And why wouldn't you do that? You're going to get the best performance out of someone when you respect and value them and make them feel loved and wanted. Yeah. It's sad how rare that is.
Yeah. There are a few elements of this performance I want to pluck out. But to start, you are brilliant at playing a terrible actress.
Thank you.
How do you go there?
I've seen a lot of terrible actors. This is where I name all of my arch nemesis from college. I don't know. It's funny to me to be like stunted and really believe, like 100% believe in yourself, but do it badly. Glenn does a really good job of that too. Like when he's trying to do, what's the episode where he's trying to do a British accent and he's like, "Stop, Charlie." And like in his head, it's a beautiful British accent. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. I already said I don't know how I do it. Why are you asking me? Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I think, yes. A person who's fully committed to something and like convinced that she's doing it brilliantly and it sucks is so funny to me. Yeah.
It is funny.
Thanks.
I'm going to ask if you've seen a recent Twitter thread that has praised your physical acting on the show, and it went pretty viral. I guess it's now X. I don't know what to call it. Have you seen this thread?
Yes, from like about a month ago or something like that. Yes, I did. I was deeply honored.
And so many people just shared like insane clips of insane stunts and things that you've put yourself through.
What was that?
That's mine.
Did you throw a rubber ball?
What were the most intense stunts that you remember putting yourself through?
Being lit on fire was intense. The one where I drown in a bog, or don't drown, but I get like I'm in the bog. That was, that was a lot. Because I was like, okay, I guess we can only do this once. And it was like 2:00 in the morning. You know, we did all the stuff leading up to it, but I was just going to go in once and then come out. And then I had to climb over Mary Elizabeth and then go running off into the darkness in the forest. And right before they called action, I mean, we had like rehearsed it because there's no cleaning me up from that and like doing it again. And right before, first of all, I was like, what is this? What is this that I'm putting my nostrils and ear holes and all of my holes into? And they were like, "Don't worry, it's organic." That does not answer my question, nor was I planning on eating it or selling it at Erewhon. And so I was like, okay, like it's clean. Like, what do you mean? Never got an answer, but it was organic. And so I'm ready to do it. We've got it all planned out. And right before they say action, my assistant director was like, "Hold on a second. There's a big hole right here, like in the grass or whatever. So when you come running out, you got to stay close to the bog because otherwise you'll run out of frame, but don't step in this hole." And so I like saw where it was and was like, okay, got it. So action, I go under and my eyes flood with grit, like flood with this organic grit, and come up and I am completely blind, but that's it. Like this is it. So I find Mary Elizabeth somehow, crawl over her, and I'm like, well, good luck to us all. I have no idea where I am. My eyes are killing me. It's like someone threw sand into both of my eyeballs and then shut my eyes. And I was like, oh, I hope I don't kill myself. And like, I don't know, somehow it worked out. But that one was tough.
Yep.
That was tough. Yeah, they're all crazy.
They are. Here, I thought you were just going to say barreling into a car.
No, that was good. I did need to go to the chiropractor a lot after that. Yeah, I remember just being like, going, whoops.
Was there some callback to what you did go through pre-junior high, especially with I believe the aluminum monster? Was
the aluminum monster?
Yes.
No, no, but they didn't know this, but my mom has scoliosis. Never had to wear, but I was very uncomfortable with that because I was like, oh no, what if my mom sees this and things, which my mom just thought was hilarious. No, they sadly they've never made fun of my near-death bike accident, so I got to ask them about that. Yeah. They should really punch a hole in my head at some point.
If there's one thing that is true of the show is there's always new material.
That's true. That's true. We're not done. Oh, and the covered in blood. That was horrible. Yep. Horrible. If anyone's ever had fake blood on them, it's incredibly sticky, and you can't if you're resting like this for a sec and then you want to go like that, you can't because it'll rip out 70,000 invisible baby hairs. So all day, and it was just like I'd look down and like the hair on the back of my neck would rip out. At least it was funny.
That's what matters, right?
That's what matters.
So you did not know Rob when you were cast.
No.
You've since gotten married.
Yeah.
Yes. A while ago.
Yeah.
I'm curious specifically in terms of what Rob rather notoriously put himself through at one point in the show when he gained a lot of
60
weight.
pounds, yeah.
Yes, and then lost a lot of weight. If anything came up for you in terms of how far you would go for a laugh for a role, because that was pretty extreme.
That was good. I prefer to wash the blood off at the end of the day and not go home with 60 extra pounds. Yep. But he did ask all of us to do it. He thought it would be funny if we all gained a ton of weight and Danny lost a ton of weight for one episode. And thankfully, Charlie and Glenn are so vain that they were like, absolutely not. And I had just had a baby. So I was like, I'm currently getting rid of an extra 35 pounds. Right. I don't feel like putting it all back on, but I will. I would have done it. If that was what people were doing, I would have done it. But I wasn't sad that it got vetoed.
Yeah. As long as the gang's doing it. That's what matters.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the only one not getting fat. Don't leave me out.
So at this stage, how long do you see this show going? How long do you see playing Dee?
Till Dee is 90. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And everybody else is probably dead by then because women outlive men.
Dee especially. I feel like Dee
doesn't
definitely outlives them
the
all.
show will go on.
Yeah. And we'll continue to live her.
I would love to do it. I mean, listen, we shoot for 2 months out of the year and we're flexible. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, we shoot in the spring every single year. Like if we have to skip a year, we do. And I don't think there's any reason to not keep going if we can keep making quality episodes. And the great thing about a satire is that you draw on what's happening in the world. And this is the right time to make this show.
What do you mean?
I don't know what else you're going to do with that energy, so you might as well write about it.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
I mean, it really is amazing. I mean, I think it's the longest running live action sitcom ever. Mm-hmm. And with that, it is still original and funny. I'm not sure if there's anything you can tease for the new season, but I got to ask.
I have no idea. I mean, the writer's room isn't even close to coming together. I never have any idea. For being married, we do not, like, Glenn will be like, oh, did Rob tell you about and like some amazing thing that I get to do this season? And I'm like, no. Yeah. No, he didn't tell me at all. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me? He was like, oh, didn't I? Like, no. His brain's full.
Could have warned me about the blood.
Could have given me a heads up about the blood. It's better that I didn't know. It's better that I just showed up.
Maybe that's why.
Bucket of blood. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
It's all calculated.
There you go.
No, I never have any idea. I just know. I know that they want to keep making it for as long as we feel like we can keep making a quality show. Nobody ever wants to overstay their welcome. And, if we start to feel like we're phoning in or it's not fun, this is a show that it has to be fun for us to make it to the quality where you guys want to see it. Like, mm-hmm. I feel like you can tell when we're having fun, and you'd be able to tell if we stopped having fun.
Mm-hmm. With a character that it's safe to say becomes a kind of a signature, I think that can be a blessing and a curse. Did you find as Sunny started getting more viewers, had established itself, that you were getting a lot of D's in your inbox in terms of offers and auditions?
Yeah. Yes. Lots and lots of offers to be like the piece of shit who's yelling at everybody. But that's fun. Like, I like doing it, but nobody had an original take on it. It was, I feel like, why would I want to go and do a similar thing that's not quite as, from my opinion, quite as funny. So, yeah, lots of offers to do that, and not a lot of offers to do anything dramatic. Not a lot of offers to do anything nice. People just really just want me to play the same thing. Mm-hmm. But that's why creative people are creative and executive people are not.
Did it get frustrating though?
Yeah, because I have that. It never stopped. It wasn't like, oh, I have to replace that character. I still have that, and I'm an actor. I'm not just a like dancing hot dog. Like I want to do different. I wanted to do different stuff.
Yeah. So this was the era of FX. This was not the era of Shogun and The Bear, and this was a much
No, it was Rescue Me.
Yes.
And, yeah.
But you were also
Tuck.
on a show called The Riches.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
How was that character written on the page?
Very straight-laced and Southern and passive-aggressive and bitchy, and I loved it.
Yeah, that was a really fun role
Yeah,
and
it
really
was fun.
different. And
Yeah.
it was a really good show. It was pretty
It was
underrated.
really
at the time.
good.
Yeah.
I thought so too. Yeah, that was a really fun show. Yeah, and Minnie Driver was so wonderful and talented and so much fun. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Eddie Izzard.
Eddie Izzard, yeah.
Yeah. Did that role kind of show people that you could do that side at all?
Yeah, I think that was when certainly the first time I felt like, oh, thank you. Like it doesn't, and it was a hybrid too. So it was one of those that did a really good job of balancing, like I wouldn't say it's like super dramatic, but it was slightly funny but also serious. And that was sort of the beginning. And then it was a while before you know more about my career than I do. I don't remember. I feel like it was all the way until Champions, right? That I got offered something with a little bit of heart.
Yeah. I was thinking, even just in terms of movies, you hadn't done a lot of movies, especially in that period. We did get to see some clips of The Heat.
Oh, The Heat, yeah.
Which you were so funny in.
Thank you. That was so fun.
And you did Groundlings with Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
So what was it like reuniting with her on
I
that?
did. It wasn't even reuniting. Melissa was always in the main company, and I was working my way up through the classes and in the Sunday company, and I was in awe of her. I loved her so much. She is so talented. She's wonderful, and to be able to work with her was great. She's just so sweet and welcoming and great. And Paul Feig was wonderful. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. It's fine.
It's Paul Feig.
Can I talk to him though? Yeah, no, she was great. And I had just had Leo at the time. And so he was with me. And besides doing scenes with them and having so much fun, my biggest memory is breastfeeding with that outfit on. And Leo just kept crying and kept crying and kept crying. I was like, what is going on? And I was stabbing him with my vampire clip from my microphone. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I need to actually go somewhere and like take a moment and feed my baby, and then I'll be back. Take this off. But it was so fun. And then that was a fun show where Paul Feig's a big fan of improvising too. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want to improvise for you, but I'm also trying to do this Bulgarian accent. And I have funny things to say, but I just need to work it out first with my dialect coach who's over there. Or like that was a little bit strange. But the butter line, like I can't right now, I'm making butter or whatever. That was an improv. I don't remember what the original thing is, but Paul would keep coming in. His big thing is he hands you a Post-it note. And it's just like some alts.
Oh, okay.
And so like nobody knows what you're going to say, which is super fun.
I don't remember if it was in the clips, but there's even just like this small moment where Melissa McCarthy sits on the couch next to you and just your reaction is great. Like there's just a sort of chemistry between the two of you that really comes through.
You know, she is one of those people who is just so fully in character with her body and her mannerisms, and she's a wonderful listener. She's acting all the time, and I love that so much. You just feel so safe in a scene with someone who is fully in it, and an improv genius as well. So just like you have to be 100% there because somebody's going to throw something at you, and you have to know who this character is. But yeah, just like little looks we were giving each other were really fun. Sometimes that's my favorite, just being in a scene and not having a line and just quietly reacting to what people are saying. You can steal a scene that way too.
Had you worked with a dialect coach like that before?
No, and I no, and I had worked on it on the plane the whole way there, and I didn't even know they were going to have her there for me, but I was grateful. But she kept going, well, that's a little bit Russian, and I was like, that's fine. It's good enough. Yeah, I'm doing my best. It's okay.
You passed
for
the
one
bar,
day.
you know.
Yeah.
There's a threshold that you clear. You've mentioned the Mick a few times.
I'm sorry, is it too many for you?
No, you just preempted me. I was excited to talk about it. This also was written for you, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So talk a little bit about how that came to you.
John and Dave Chernin, who are so delightful and so funny and so smart, they wrote on the Mick. And they wanted to go off on their own and do a show, and they were so sweet. I didn't even hear that they were writing it for me. I knew they were writing a show, and Rob was like, "You realize they're writing that with you in mind?" And I was like, "I can't do." I had 2 very little kids at the time, and I was like, That's the beauty about having your kids on a show where you're like, it's all family and your husband's the showrunner. Like we had a nursery, and I took as many breaks as I needed to be with them, and I really loved being a mom. And so I felt like for, 10 months out of the year, I was their mom, and I liked it that way. And then I worked, and I kind of had the best of both worlds. And I was not prepared to go, certainly not to headline a show, and certainly not a network show. And then I read their script and was like, oh, damn it. That's going to be a really fun character. I would have been pissed if somebody else got to do it.
Yeah. That's an example of a character who's got a little D in her, but she does feel like her own person, and you definitely...
Thank you. I tried. There's a lot of D in there. She's brassy. She says whatever she wants, doesn't give a shit what people think, although I think D really does give a shit what people think. But I tried really hard to make them different, but it was challenging because the thing that they loved about my comedy was a lot of the D stuff that I do.
Yeah. Given what you were saying about, not being a networky gal, this being your first experience with a network, what was it like? And particularly given that the show maybe didn't run as long as some people would have liked, how did you experience that?
Yeah, I think I believe them that they said, 'cause I had conversations with executives, and I was like, I don't know if I'm your gal. Like, it's a Fox show. They were like, we really, really want your brand of comedy. We want it to feel like it should be on a streaming service, but we want to have it on Fox. We have it with The Simpsons and all that stuff, which is much later at night. And I was like, okay. And, it was a struggle because I believe that's what they wanted, but they were also giving us network notes. And we were like, no. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of pushback, but there was a lot of, really great working together too, and a lot of great compromise. And there were some instances where I wasn't allowed to say something, so we had to come up with something that I could stay in its place, which ended up being so much funnier anyway, because it was so stupid. And I'm really proud of the shows that we did. I'm really proud of the episodes that we made. Sometimes you get the best material when you're just butting heads and you're not compromising on certain things, and then you recognize places where you can. And I'm very proud of it, but I think ultimately my gut was right, which is like your viewers don't want to watch. You don't want to see this. Like Fox comedy, Fox people who are watching Fox at 8, 9 at night, they didn't like it. And also I felt like there were a lot of people who would see clips of it and clearly didn't watch the episode. I mean, people were up in arms about the fact that the little boy had like a ball gag in his mouth because we put it there to keep his mouth open because he burned his tongue. They clearly didn't watch the episode, and we were just being attacked online about like pedophilia. And I was like, fuck you. Yeah. I just didn't feel like I belonged there after a while. And so when it was canceled, we were super disappointed. But secretly, I was like, great, I'm going out on top. I'm proud of these episodes that we made. We did 2 really great seasons, and it could have gotten harder and harder as we went on to be able to make the show that I wanted to make. So, but I do love that people are still pissed off about it being canceled.
They are. Yeah. They really are. Where did the faith come from with High Potential that maybe the experience would be different? Because clearly you seem to have that.
We discussed that a lot, and Drew Goddard, bless his heart, had similar reservations and was like, I'm going to protect you. Like, we will do this. And I read the script. I fell in love with it. The character is much different from Mickey. She's also a mom. I think that at the heart of the show is her love for her children, and that's definitely something that's different from anything I've played before. And I felt like there was a way for me to make this character really fun and really big, but also with a huge heart. And with Mickey, the thing that I loved about her was her foul mouth and all of her like. I love that personality. That's not what I love about this character. I love that she's scrappy. I love that she doesn't need anybody. But I also love that she doesn't trust anyone. She's got it. At the end of the day, she's a single mom and she's going to figure it out because she's always had to. So there's not, I don't feel like, oh, that doesn't belong on network TV. But I think, oh, I can make this character special in a way that it hasn't shown up on network TV before.
Given that you have very successfully advocated for many of your characters over the years, have you thought about writing and becoming the fourth writing cast member of Sunny, for instance?
No, never. No. I'm glad you asked. I get asked that a lot. No, and I'll tell you why. Like I said, I'm so comfortable in a room where everybody else has got it. Because when I'm the one who has to have it in a room, I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, we're fucked. Okay, I got this. And then it's like this responsibility to like make it. That's how I feel in my personal life. Like I got my kids, I got my dogs, I got my cat, I got my husband, I got this house. I'm going to make us dinner. It's going to be healthy, but it's going to taste good. I want to be in a room where I'm handed a script and I'm like, this is so funny. And I have no idea where this is going. I can't guess where this is going because it's unpredictable. And I love it so much. And it just makes me feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would never think like, oh, I love that wouldn't be able to write a Sunny script because I feel like that's why it's so funny is because people can't guess where is this headed. You know it's going to go off the rails, but you don't know how.
Yes. The one constant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while you've been doing Sunny, you've, I feel like, been very selective with like shows you've guest starred on and things like that. You were on New Girl, a couple other shows. Before we talk about Hacks, and which is so brilliant, how did you decide what kind of little spots to do along the way?
I always, from the time I was little, thought, okay, I want to do this and I want to be really, really good at it. And what I don't want to do is be a person where if someone's walking down the street, they're like, oh, I think that's an actress, but I can't place where she's from. Not interested in that at all. I don't care about being famous. I don't care about being recognized. If you recognize me, I want it to be like, oh my God, oh my God, that's not like, I want it to be that I did something that's impactful and special. And so I'm not doing it just for, I'm also really fortunate and very aware that I am so blessed to be in a place where I can be choosy. I was scrappy and I worked very many minimum wage jobs and barely made it by and borrowed my dad's credit card plenty of times. I put my dues in. And now I have a great job and I have a husband who also works and we both make money. And I'm very fortunate to be able to be choosy. And my dream of dreams is to just be able to turn things down and not have to take things because I have to feed my family. And I'm really grateful for that.
So, please.
Thanks.
Hacks is obviously not one to turn down.
No.
You have brilliant writers. It's such a great part. But when it was presented to you, did you sort of know the parameters of like you'd be doing a few episodes a season, that kind of thing?
Okay, so what I knew is that they wanted me to play Jean Smart's daughter. And right away I was like, yeah, will do. But then they described the character to me and it was so much fun, like an angsty 40-year-old teenager. It was so funny to me. And so I was 100% in. I was doing, I think I was off to do Champions or something. It still had Sunny. I knew it was just a recurring thing. And then at some point in there, I think I've said this before, at some point in there, I had a similar conversation where I was like, I want you guys to just make me a guest star because I don't want to show up in a tremendous show and be the worst part of it. Not that it was ever like poorly written ever, but if I show up, I want to show up and do something memorable and fun and crazy. And then I'll just go off and then have DJ come back when there's another fun idea. And they were like, great. And there's so many wonderful guest stars on that show. I feel like I'm in such good company. And the main cast is amazing. So every time I get to go and play with them, it's amazing.
What was it like meeting Jean Smart?
She had no idea who I was, which I loved. I loved it. She was so sweet and so nice. And the first scene we did together, she was in the scene with me for the first part of it. I think it was when I played the piano, the Jurassic Park song on the piano. And she would do her thing, and then she walked out of the room. And then Paul and Jen and Lucia came up and told me later, they were like, when she leaves set, she runs behind and she goes to Video Village and she watches the monitors and just laughs. And she's like, oh my God, it's this person. Oh. Which is the sweetest thing, first of all, for Jen and Paul and Lucia to come and tell me that, because that feels really good. Like I said, it's hard to show up on someone else's show. But she was so wonderful and then she came out and she was like, I'm so sorry, I've never seen Sunny. I was like, you do not need to watch it. Please don't. But she's just lovely. She's like my biggest champion and I'm hers. She is really, really a truly a wonderful person. She texts and she's like, I just was watching this one little moment where you just did the tiniest thing. Like, she's so lovely and giving and wonderful. It's such a gift.
She's also unreal in this role.
She's perfect for it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And you guys are always, to some degree, at odds.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be fun to play.
So fun. Yeah. Yeah. It would be boring if we were getting along.
How have you found her evolution over the years, especially given that you really do get a few episodes every year that you get to kind of really show up for and make an impact with?
I love it. I think DJ brings out a certain thing from Deborah, despite how she would like for it to be. I think, and especially, you know, when DJ gets to unload on her, it's different because everybody's unloading on her. It doesn't mean anything. But like my favorite was the roast, not just because it was super funny and I got to scream, what a cunt. But because I was so proud. I was so happy that for the first time you see DJ have a win. Mm-hmm. And the win wasn't that the audience was laughing. The win was that she did what she wanted to do. And she didn't take the advice of Ava or her mom. And it worked. And she was proud of herself. And I think in that moment, she was like, I don't have to be a little girl anymore. Like, I'm okay. I don't need her validation. And I loved, we didn't even really talk about it, but the scene after that, when I just kind of let her go and let her off the hook. And I'm like, oh, you're an addict too. I get it. There's nothing for you to do. I can go to rehab. There's nothing for you to do because your addiction is the audience. Her face was, I mean, it really like impacted her, and we never really talked about that, but that's what I wanted for it to be too, which is just like, basically, I'm done with you. I don't need your approval anymore.
Yeah. When you had said that Champions was probably the next thing you got to do with Hart many, many years later, I feel like in Hacks, though...
Yeah, I was wrong. The reason he cast me in that is because he saw Hacks and was like, I always thought you were funny, and then I think you're great in Hacks, and you know, you can actually act. Why people think comedic actors can't act, but that's a different conversation.
It's strange. Mm-hmm. But getting to play those deeper notes and really a very rich, complicated mother-daughter relationship, how have you found that? Just getting to actually do that stuff that, as you say, has always been in you.
Amazing. And especially because my scene partner is so brilliant. Like, she is just... It's so much easier to access your emotions when you're with someone who's fully in it with you and who's so good and is giving you all the things that you need. When it's well written and you have a really good actor acting opposite you, it's so much easier to just drop into it and just fully feel all of those things that you're saying. Mm-hmm. So she's a dream.
Yeah. When you did the roast, if I'm right, you're not a fan of stand-up.
Oh, God, no. I hate stand-up.
Had you done it before?
Yes, the friend I was talking about that I moved to California kind of with, he tried it for a while and made me do it once. I blacked the whole thing out. Okay. If I could remember it, I wouldn't tell you. It was horrible. I don't mind talking to you as myself. I don't like being myself in front of people and trying to like make you laugh. It feels fake and weird. I'm happy to like act in front of thousands of people. Especially if I know what I'm going to do. I know it's going to be like, I'm good with that. to be myself and try and be like, I'm funny, guys, right? I can't even. And I'm so uncomfortable in an audience at a stand-up show too. I'm just like laying on the floor like, I got to disappear.
So this was ideal conditions then.
Well, I mean, DJ was very uncomfortable.
Yes, that's right.
So
yeah.
yes, exactly. It was great. It was great.
True to life.
True to life. Yeah.
Yeah.
The cringes were real.
Cringes were real. I have seen, some episodes of this season of Hacks that have not yet aired, but what can you tell us about what you got to do this season? Journalist privileges.
I know. So DJ's about to have a baby. And so there's a very fun scene where she's ready to have the baby. And so she thinks that doing deadlifts is a good idea. That was really fun. And that's just a little part of one episode. And then there's one DJ-centered episode, and there's a baby.
Given that...
the deadlifts didn't do it.
Given that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has rather notoriously never been nominated for a main acting Emmy, insanely, I might add. You have been nominated for Hacks as your first for a primetime show. How did it feel?
It felt great. I mean, it makes me laugh because I called Rob and I was like, I don't know. It feels like I'm cheating on him. I'm like, I got nominated for a different show. No, I mean, it's become the Emmys have become such a weird thing for us because we've gone through such an evolution of like, yeah, well, why would we be nominated for an Emmy? No one's watching our show. No, our show's pretty big and people are really liking it, and it's not good enough for you. Is it too tasteless for you? And then to the episode that the gang desperately tries to win an award, which is one of my favorites in the whole world. And then I'm like, well, now we're never going to get nominated for anything. To truly not caring, because what's the point? Like, I don't need an award. Our reward really is walking down the street and having people be so excited and tell us that they've watched our show from the beginning, and people love it, and we love it, and that's more than enough. And how lucky are we? We've been able to make a television show for 17 seasons, so I don't need an award at all. To getting nominated for Hacks and being like, oh well, I would like one. I don't need it to like breathe, but I'll take it. Oh, and then to Rob winning for Welcome to Wrexham, and I'm like, God damn it, he's got a couple.
Yeah. You also this season, because there's just so many shows right now, I got to guest star as Dee on Abbott Elementary.
It's so fun.
So fun. And whenever I hear crossover, I get very scared that it's going to ruin two shows that I love.
Yep.
It was like the opposite. So yeah, what was that experience like?
So much fun. And then, to go into that world, and I mean, I love their show. I love their characters, and to be able to go, I mean, it was such a fun episode. And then what's really fun is that they're in our episode of Sunny this season. So we just take the exact same day or week that was, and it's from our perspective. So it'll be fun to like watch those back to back. It's so much fun. So then they're on our show, right. And so they get to say things that they wouldn't be able to say on their show. Yeah.
With the ABC audience, you might say.
Yeah.
That got people very excited.
It's really funny.
Yeah. So is there another show that you would love to guest star on of everything that's out there?
Yeah, I would have loved to do White Lotus.
I will say, speaking of viral tweets, there's one going around of...
Is there?
Kaitlin Olson season 4.
Are you serious?
I swear to God.
I missed that. All right. Well, get Mike on the phone.
Who would you play on White Lotus?
Anybody. This is the thing. I don't question Mike White and his brain. I just trust, and I'll show up and do it. Anybody. But, everyone's amazing.
Yeah.
What else? That's it. Apparently, just White Lotus.
It's kind of the one, right? You get to go somewhere cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like do weird stuff. Yeah. Just feel like it's a genre. It's like a tone I haven't done yet.
Yeah. I think it'd be good. Yeah.
I would be good. Thank you.
It'd be real good.
Thank you.
I would. Yeah, I'd watch that. As you're kind of doing all these different projects at the same time, is there a sort of feeling of maybe needing to slow down? Do you like that pace?
I didn't plan on that. It just sort of happened. I like breaks, and I really love my family. And so, I built it into my high potential schedule that they've got me for a certain number of hours. So I don't feel, listen, everybody on that show has a family and is very aware that we have to pace ourselves. I have to pace myself. And then I'm going to show up and give 100% every single day. And then I'm going to leave after a certain hour every single day because I'm a mom first. And so that's the most important thing to me. And then, thank you. It's true. And then everything else is spaced out. Nothing's overlapping. So it probably feels like anybody else who's going to work every single day of the year feels, right? I'm just doing different things.
Yeah. Sometimes the network schedule can be pretty grueling, though.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like I feel very protected by my my other producers and my showrunner and Drew Goddard. And ABC's been really, really wonderful to me. I have to say, they've been incredible. But of course, like they're the executives. They want more episodes. And I have to say, at a certain point, I can only do a certain number so that I don't lay down on the floor and start crying.
Mm-hmm. Now that you've gotten over the first season hump with High Potential, coming back for season 2, by the way, what are you most excited about exploring with Morgan going forward?
I'm really excited about exploring the challenging side of having this brain. I really loved the little monologue in the pilot episode where she says it's not a gift and explains why. I have a lot of people in my life who are either super smart, or neurodivergent in some way. And, it's not all roses in there. It's complicated and there's a lot that goes along with it. And I in a first season of a show, you're just kind of trying to find the tone and introduce the characters. And I love what we did, and I want to remember that this isn't always like a dream for her. Like I think it's exciting that she got this job and she finally feels maybe a little bit respected. And but I want to explore more ways in which she's struggling and failing. Like I don't want it to be that she's going to figure it out again. Like I want her to get it wrong. Like she's human, and I think it's really important.
Is there a moment from the first season as an actor that you feel really proud of?
Yes. I'm really proud of the scenes with the kids. Those were really important to me to make feel real and wholesome and not sappy or cheesy or acted or written. And I'm really proud of the hostage episode with Ava. Just listen, that girl, she is something else. Amira. We did the scene before she bursts in. There's like an episode right before I tell her she's got to leave and she's got to go, or she's burst into tears. We did that over and over and over. And I have to give props to James Rodriguez, who directed it. He just kept coming and like whispering to her, and I would whisper to her. We just kept doing it, and he let the cameras roll, which is a genius move. Sometimes an actor has to ramp up into those emotions. And I was throwing different lines at her to get her to kind of really feel the impact of what this was, and not just like memorize lines and then say her line. And there was just a point where she just broke wide open and just burst into tears, and everything was just so raw, and she just did it. And I was so proud of her. She was amazing.
Yeah, that's great. Maybe to close, given that I feel like a big theme of this conversation has been you standing up for yourself even before Sunny, what advice you might give to actors who are in that kind of position where they don't feel like they have a lot of agency yet, they are distressed by a situation or a role, how you got there and what you would say to others to get there as well?
Oh, it's hard, especially you reminded me of that Drew Carey moment. That was so scary. I'd say, what do you have to lose by just saying, can we try this? Can we try this? I'd like to try something. And And even if it's very different from how it's written, say it up front. Be like, let's do this, but I'd like to try something. If we could just keep rolling, I'll just like give you a few different things. And when you do advocate for yourself like that, it's intriguing. People just want good material. Like they're never going to be mad at you if what you come up with is better than what they wrote. I mean, it's a gift to them. They should thank you for it, and then they'll hire you again. But it's okay if people don't like you too, and that's been a really hard one for me. I'm overcoming being a people pleaser, but it's really important to honor what you need first, because you're going to leave and just feel gross if you don't. What's the worst that could happen if you say, I'd like to try something? And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Like, who cares? You're also going to give them the thing that they... Oh, and if there's something that is just like makes your whole body shut down, like I'm not saying that, do not fall for the, let's just get one. No, you're not getting one. No, you know what Danny does? And I learned this from him. He'd just go, huh? Yep. Mm-hmm. And then we'd roll, and he'd do the whatever the fuck. And then they'd give him the same note, and he'd be like, mm-hmm. And then just say whatever he wanted. Beautiful, because then you just give up at a certain point. And also, whatever Danny's giving you is gold, and he'll give you 15 different things. So, but be self-aware. Like, you know, if you know you're not good at something, just trust the material. But if you know that you've got something better, just speak up. What's the worst that could happen?
We were pretty good at this, Kaitlin Olson. Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you all for coming out tonight.
Thanks, guys.